Our guest this week is attorney Rae Kaplan. What was your website again? Give us your website.
It is financialrelief.com.
Financialrelief.com. If you have any questions about student loans, and who doesn't? Usually on this segment, I like to talk about people that you've helped.
Yes.
But we had a question, so ask the question, Jim.
So I have a question from an online watcher. Again, for everybody who's listening to us on AM 560, The Answer. We do a live stream of our podcast every Friday, and you can ask questions to all of our trusted professionals. And the question I have here is, I have old student loans. I have the interest locked in at a federal rate of around 5.25%. Would it be smarter to keep paying towards that old loan or refinance and have a higher interest rate but a fresher loan?
Right. And so that's what we were talking about earlier, is that there are a lot of private lenders out there that will advertise, and they target people with federal student loans, and they want to refinance them, and they say it's going to be for a lower interest rate. And in general, we like lower interest rates, right? So that seems like a good idea, but it's not a good idea to take your federal loan and turn it into a private loan. Almost ever, 95% of the time, it's a really bad idea, because federal student loans, which that means that you owe the money to the Department of Ed. The Department of Ed hires servicers like Navient, Mohila, Fed Loans, Nelnet, there are a couple others serving Great Lakes. They are hired by the Department of Education to service the federal student loan. So the federal statute that applies to that loan allows you to make very, very low monthly payments and then have the balance forgiven. So a lot of times we don't care about the interest because you're not going to pay it. So when a private lender says, let us refinance your federal student loans and then you can pay us and you can pay us a lower interest, it actually most of the time does not work out to your benefit.
There's parallel, where I always talk about with the IRS stuff and
Right.
student loan stuff. There's such a parallel because it's all government agencies. So very similar in
Applying a federal
because
statute.
a lot of times people say, well, if you put me in this plan, isn't the interest still gathering? And I say,
Right.
well, yeah, but you're never going to be able to pay it anyway.
We don't care because you're not going to pay
That's
it.
right, exactly. So again, you don't be afraid of these things because there's these programs out there.
Exactly. If people knew how the federal statute, the law that governs all things federal student loans, how it works, nobody would be afraid of their federal student loans anymore. All of the fear would be wiped away. And then all of these candidates out there saying like, oh, we have a huge student loan problem. And we do, but it's because people don't know how to apply the law that is already on the books.
So I have another question from a listener or watcher on our live stream. Is there any way to haggle interest rates on an existing federal student loan, or even knock down a large interest amount that has been stacked on top of your loan?
So usually what will happen is sometimes if your federal loan goes into default, under the statute, they're allowed to charge, I think, 20% of the principal. It's called capitalization of the interest, and they put it on top of the balance of the loan. If we can get your loan out of default, we can get rid of all of that, those collection fees and costs. So we can get rid of that by getting it out of default. Under the statute, you can get out of default in a couple different ways. One is rehabilitation and one is consolidation. In general, though, let's say you're not in default and you just have your interest rate is your interest rate. Sometimes if you do a federal consolidation where you're basically just putting the loans under one roof, but keeping them as federal loans, not ever turning them into private loans, private bad, federal good in this situation.
Yeah, so we get that, yeah.
Yes, but so sometimes because the interest rate is set by Congress, and sometimes that federal rate will be a little bit lower than what you actually have. However, I will say that the interest rate is not that important. I will recommend that you enroll in an income-driven payment plan, because income-driven payment plans allow you to pay for a certain period of time, 10% of your gross disposable income, just yours, not you and your family and your kids, just your income over time, and then the balance, all that interest that accrues over that period of time, is wiped out.
So again, this goes with what we were just saying about. It's not really about what you owe; it's what you pay.
Yes.
So people already ask me, "Can you reduce what I owe the IRS?" My answer often is no, but I can often change what you pay them.
Exactly.
And that's really what it's about.
That's exactly right. It's about being in the right framework within that statute that applies, so that you get to pay a certain amount, no matter what your loan is. We have clients they have $500,000 in federal loans. They're doctors. They're going to wind up paying $150,000 back and getting total forgiveness of $450,000 of their
Wow.
loans. Yeah, absolutely. And it's just, you're right under the statute. There's no downside.
Give us your phone number again, because if you have a question about student loans, Attorney Kaplan's the one you want to call. Give us your number.
It's 312-294-8989.